Hello, everyone. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to another episode of the Back of the Pack podcast, take two. I'm your host, Kyle Walker. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are jumping right into it today. We have a very special guest from the Liberty Half Marathon coming up on March 23rd of 2024, the first race in the Heartland 39.3 series. This is Julie. Julie, welcome to the Back of the Pack podcast.
Hey, Kyle, happy to be here.
Awesome. All right. So you are here representing Liberty. And so before we jump into the race, first tell everyone a little bit about yourself and your connection that you have with this race.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, my name's Julie Gilmore. I'm actually the director of marketing events for the Liberty Hospital Foundation. We are a 501c3 that actually offices out of the hospital. And our goal is to support the health, education, wellness, and care of the patients, families, and employees in the hospital community. So it's a really unique angle working with events that I'm also able to direct the race for the Liberty Half Marathon. So really excited to be here. But on a personal note, my husband and I are both triathletes. He's a longtime runner. I'm a longtime runner. And so it was a really great passion connection for me when I started this job, and I was able to kind of help lead something that's been such a, I think, cornerstone of the Northland community for such a long time.
Yep. Do you happen to know what year of running is this race or this year for Liberty?
Yeah, this is going to be the seventh race. So we took a
Wow.
break, and we were the last race in 2020 before the world shut down, and then
Yep.
2021 we were virtual. So we're
Okay.
actually in the seventh year.
Seventh year. Okay. So then I think I've got, I'm looking at my wall here. One, two, three, four, five. I think I've got five of them. Okay.
Awesome. I
Yeah.
know it probably requires its own space on your wall because the medals are so large.
Well, you know what? Let me just jump right into that. For anyone who hasn't done Liberty before, I took last year's medal off the wall because I wanted you guys to see it. Now, it took me two hands and almost a crane to get this off the wall. But look at this monster. Look at that. I'm going to hold this up. This was last year's medal, everyone. Look, if you're watching on YouTube, look at this beast. Hold on. I have a gigantic head. Okay. If you've met me in person, you know this. It's the size of my head, and
Dinner
I have a
plate,
very big head.
head, you
Yeah.
name
Oh,
it.
I've absolutely eaten meals off this before. You know, you can fit three or four slices of pizza on this thing. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
So, all right, before we get into the details, because we're talking about the medals, what can we expect this year? Tell us a little
Yeah,
bit about this year's medals, because we all love the bling.
absolutely. So this year we're still packing a punch with some of the largest medals that you're going to see in all the Kansas City metro. I'm actually wearing our race shirt for this upcoming year, and the
Oh,
medals are going to look exactly like the shirt. So we put the medal design right on the shirt. So we have a really nice bright blue shirt. And then every year we really like to try to feature some kind of landmark that
mhm.
means a lot to the Northland community. So it features the Kit Bond Bridge, and that's the gateway into the Northland. So, what better way to kind of tie the whole Kansas City community together? We're not your small town race anymore. We're one of the
Oh,
largest races in all of the metro, and we have so many people, not just in Liberty, that come and join our race. We have 30 plus states, two countries, every single county and zip code in the Kansas City metro represented. So we wanted to go a little bit bigger with our landmark this year. So
wow. Yeah, that is huge. So do you happen to know what are the other countries that are coming? I always find this fascinating.
yeah, we have like in the southern regions, we had like Guam one year, we had Puerto Rico, we've had Asia represented. So yeah, we're always looking forward to it. Sometimes we get a few Canadians as well. So
You gotta like all those Canadians, eh? Uh, all right, and so you guys are one of the few. If there's not that many, you're one of the few races though that have an expo, though, correct?
correct.
It's okay. So this year you have your expo. Tell us little bit about what we can expect, because not every half marathon comes with an expo. A lot just have a packet pickup. You grab your stuff and you're gone. Tell us about the expo that you guys feature, because it is one of the better ones around here.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Yeah, we're continuing that on this year as expected from years past. The reason why we're really able to do the expo, I would just like to give a shout out to William Jewell College. They're our huge partner for the 5K. They're the presenting sponsor for the 5K. And our partnership with them has been so symbiotic, not only with the foundation, but also with the hospital. A little bit of history there. Our nursing programs, physical therapy programs, sports medicine programs have a lot of synergy together. So a lot of those students end up coming to work for the hospital, and we sponsor a lot of scholarships for those students. And so we've been really excited to partner with them in really meaningful programs, but then also for our events. So we truly do see each other quite a bit in many different departments of the hospital, not just us see them. So we're so glad that we're able to have them as a community resource. I know that not everyone is able to afford, a huge facility like the Mabee Center on William Jewell's campus, but as a nonprofit, we're able to utilize that space because of that partnership. So we are just so incredibly grateful for William Jewell and that facility, especially since March can be a little chilly. So
just a little.
just a little. So we're really excited to have that. But typically what you can expect on that Friday from 10 to 7 is just a plethora of different types of vendors. So anywhere from different races all over the Kansas City metro and beyond, but also some other, I think, key community health vendors like sports medicine, like we have chiropractor services that come. We have different local food restaurants that come, different departments from downtown Liberty that all come in for the expo. So it's a really great way to shop local and sign up for other races. So.
Right, which we all love to do. You guys
Yeah.
also have, I'm going to say, the best merchandise stand. You guys take up half of a basketball floor. So where
Yep.
where did that come about? Like one of the shirts the shirt I'm wearing right now came from that very vendor, but that's a unique approach because not everyone has that. So where did that come from?
Yeah, absolutely. So we work with a company called Omni Apparel. They are the very, very best. So actually, we work with Omni Apparel and their creative team to design different types of merchandise every single year. So every year we have some kind of new design. So be on the lookout. This year, I think we're doing some beanies since it's cold outside, and we have different shirts with our new logo. And so we're able to work with them and their creative team, and then they bring that all on site for us and manage it, which is awesome. And definitely chunks of proceeds for different types of merchandise items go back to the nonprofit, which is great. So yeah, being able to work with other creative focused vendors in the Kansas City area is a really fun part of my job to definitely get to collaborate with different colors and designs every year. So shout out to Omni Apparel on that one.
Yeah, and you guys, I didn't wear the jacket because it's a little warm in my house right now, so I got on the t-shirt. But I have a wonderful jacket from the expo a couple of years ago. I really like that thing. I was actually just wearing it yesterday.
Oh yeah, we've got quarter zips and hoodies
Yep.
and t-shirts, you name it. So we're
All right,
excited.
let's answer the big question. This is the big serious one. The gloves. Are the gloves back this year?
Yeah, the gloves are absolutely back.
There we
So
go.
every single race packet this year, you'll get a drawstring bag,
Mhm.
which the City of Liberty sponsors every year for us. And then within those packets, we have gloves, we have chapstick, which everyone really loves too. And then all of your other race day essentials that you need, like your bib and different instructions. So the gloves are back.
Good, good. Love those gloves. Every year I look forward to getting those gloves. They got the little touch
Absolutely.
finger thingy so you can still use your phone. It's great.
You
And
bet.
then I always wear them during the race because it always starts cold.
Absolutely. But then it warms right up. You know what? And
It
I
does.
don't know how many half marathoners always tell me that despite it starting cold, that is really the perfect weather for
Yeah.
race day. It really keeps you motivated, and the heat factor and overheating isn't ever a question. So
Yeah. No, it's really not. I've had some years. There was a year, I don't know, a few years ago where it was cold and it stayed cold. I think it finished either in the teens or 20s, but it's really
you
the
got
only,
heaters on the field.
yeah, that's really the only time where I really didn't like the weather. Every other year, yeah, usually it's pretty cloudy and overcast, but it's not dreadfully cold. So, yeah, yeah, right. Knock on wood. Sorry. Now I'm cursing the whole thing. Mm. So this year we're ready for 2024. Are there any changes that you guys have made, or you just kind of sticking to the formula? Because 2023 I thought went off great. I mean, I was there, did the race, love the race. Anything different in 2024 that you guys want to throw out there?
Yeah, actually, yeah, there are a couple of key things that I wanted to point out of this year that are changing for the better. So the first one that everyone I think is kind of wondering about is William Jewell campus's construction and how that's
Ah,
going to impact the race flow. So it always starts on the campus. We're keeping that the same this year. There's very minimal tweaks, but we have to make a couple. So typically the race starts lining up on the back of the stadium. There's that big long road. Well, with their new construction updates that they're doing to their stadium, that road is no longer there anymore and it will never come back.
oh
So
no.
I've actually diverted that road around the campus into a parking garage. And so we're actually starting the race just, I think it's like 600 feet forward, closer to that intersection. And
Okay.
all the runners are going to line up in the parking lot this year.
Okay.
So really not a big change. You won't have
Yeah.
that hill kind of going down into the very start of the run. It'll be more of a turn straight out. So that's the first kind of just operational logistical change. The second one is where we finish. It'll still be on the stadium, still on the track, which is
Okay.
everyone's favorite kind of like glory moment.
Yep.
But it's going to be on the other side of the track because they're still working on the seating for the stadium where we normally finish at that line. And so we've moved it to the other side. So seems like, just very minimal changes, but hopefully that kind of sort of helps the flow with construction still happening. But you know what? We're really excited for everyone to see all the new changes that are coming onto William Jewell's campus. So it's a really cool old campus, and they're really excited for all their major renovations that student athletes for years and years to come will be able to enjoy. So
Yeah.
first change.
Okay.
Second big thing that you can expect is increased entertainment. So
Ooh.
we know that we've got hills. We know that we've got, those spots that every runner's like, when am I going to be done? It doesn't matter where you race or what race you have, there are
Yep.
definitely some spots where you're like, I wish that I had a little bit of power up or a little bit of a boost. And this year we have increased entertainment. So at the top of big hills, you can expect more entertainment. For example, one key partner that we have coming back are the Liberty ukuleles. So they have their little ukuleles that they're going to have out on the course, and we have some cheerleaders, and we have bands and bubbles and all of the fun things that you can see at other races. We have candy stations that are going to be new this year. So
Yes.
yeah, so we're really excited to just add a little bit of extra pizzazz because we know that our hills are hard. So
Yeah. So you didn't take out any of the hills this year? You're just going to leave them all in there for us, huh?
we're leaving them all in there. It's one thing that is always very controversial for runners,
Yeah.
but the best thing about it is that it brings in serious runners and it really helps runners elevate what they always thought that they could do.
Yep.
It trains you for harder harder marathons throughout the season in your training. And so when you can accomplish a race like ours, you're set for the whole rest of your race season. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no doubt about it. And so, yeah, I think while you're doing it, it can be, grueling, especially if you're used to some of the more flat races in the series and in the Kansas City Metro. But you know what? There's no feeling like finishing our race.
Yes.
There's just nothing quite like it. So
Yeah, because I think that last hill, and I think it's still there this year, is pretty much heading up to get back onto the campus. I tell you, once you're done with that hill and you're just kind of doing the little figure eight almost deal in the on campus property, then you're feeling pretty good. But yeah, that last hill, by that point, you're kind of just over the hills.
Yes.
Over the hills.
But you know what? Then you hit the fraternity circle. You know what I'm saying? And they have a party and some lukewarm beer. And you know what? There's nothing better of a reward. One of our runners on our Facebook page commented that one year they had fireball shots at their station. And they said, you know what? We just really needed that to get us to the finish line. So they'll be back this year. Shout out to Lambda Chi. So.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna like dime them out or anything on that, but yes, I do look forward to my lukewarm natty light every time I go around the corner and
That's the best.
see half of them there shirtless, yelling at everyone. It's like I've never been so
No
happy to
other
see half
race
naked
has
guys.
that. So
Well, good. Yes, they better have my lukewarm beer waiting for me. That's all I'm gonna say. The cheapest beer possible. That's what I
absolutely.
want.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. All right. Well, so we know the hills are there. The hills are never going to change. We got all that. But let's talk feedback that you get from the race, taking away the hills. So let's talk what is the highest praise you guys get for your race, and then what is something that people aren't as thrilled about but they'll live. And again, it can't be the hills, but just we're trying to give people reasonable expectations on what they can look forward to if they've never done this race before. So
Absolutely.
feedback, what is number one? What does everyone love about this race?
So the best feedback that we get is that it's just a very well organized race, which makes me really happy. I'm an event planner by trade, so that
Mhm.
just makes my heart sing to hear that I organize things well. But really, I can't take full credit. We have amazing partners with Kansas City Running Company, so shout out to them. Not only do they do all of our timing, but this year they're coming on board in new and improved ways to really help us, day of with those logistics and course changes. There's a couple different spots where our 5K and our half marathon kind of flips around a little bit. And the only way that we're able to execute a race on such a high level is to have those amazing community partners like KC Running Company on board. We also have incredible city support. Like we work with the Kansas City Police Department, pretty much a month before for a whole 30 days on just really going through the course and making sure that all the runners are safe and that the course is well marked and well executed. So the safety in the organization is paramount, and we get amazing feedback out on that every year, which if there's one thing that we hear positively, I mean, I'll take it every single year.
Absolutely.
What we're known for. So, and with KC Running Company, you'll see a very familiar face there again, but another shout out to Nathan Spencer, who has been a
Yep.
longtime race director, who I kind of worked with last year as we were kind of sort of working on a transition for him now being full-time with KC Running Company and our volunteer management services team with Uncover KC. So really our race could not be where it is without Nathan's incredible brain, the master behind how this race first came about and how it's continuing today. So him and I talk almost daily about what we're going to do to just ensure that it stays the highest possible caliber. So
And he still has one of the best mustaches in Kansas City.
he sure does.
I couldn't do
He's
it.
one of the
I don't
nicest
know how he does it.
people.
Yep. I just couldn't pull it off, and it makes me sad sometimes. But
I know. He's the best. But yeah, so anyway, moving into the feedback, of course, I think the most obvious is the hills
the
every
hills.
year. They're very controversial. And so, I think with that, just keeping in mind that it's what makes us unique too. So
Right.
when you think about a brand and when you think about why someone signs up for your race, along with other races in the year, when you're again trying to kind of one up your experience as a runner and trying to see where you can push yourself to be, people think of our race
Yep.
typically. So I think in the whole Kansas City Marathon, for example, our half marathon has almost the same elevation. So it's just one that becomes a bragging right, a way of honor. So
It's
even
true.
though it's probably what people complain about the most,
Sure.
I think it's what makes us special. So
So last year I did Liberty, of course, and then I had 3 weeks until I actually went and ran Boston. I got in on the charity bib and I ran Boston. So in
neat.
Boston, I'm going up Heartbreak Hill. All right, most
Mhm.
famous running hill in the world. That hill was you could insert that at any of the hills in Liberty.
I'm
It
telling
really
you.
is. Yeah, it's not that big of a thing. Like, so after
Uh-huh.
doing Liberty, and then I'm like, oh, this is Heartbreak Hill. I did 3 of these hills 3 weeks ago in Liberty. So
Mhm.
yeah, it
Yeah,
really
I'm
does
telling
kind of
you.
help prepare you.
Yeah, there's a backstretch of my husband just finished his first Ironman in September in Chattanooga, and there's one really like classic iconic hill, and he's like, honestly, I feel like when I did the Liberty half, this one is pretty much the same, and I felt
Yeah.
like I was well trained for it, and he's an Ironman, so you know what? I'll take it, and I think again, there's no better bragging right than finishing this one. So.
Does he have the Iron Man tattoo?
Not yet. He's kind of debating what one he wants to get. Does he want to get it full color, black and white? Every different race actually has like a different kind of logo for Iron Man. So
Right.
Chattanooga is the big like train that goes through it, and their mileage is actually a little bit different. They have a couple extra miles on the bike. So he's like, do I put that on the tattoo? So he's still kind of deciding.
Decision to say, I see those Iron Man tattoos and I look at, I'm like, oh, look at this guy. They got an Iron Man tattoo. And inside my head, I'm like, damn it, I wish I had an Iron Man tattoo.
Right. It's a very addictive feeling. Like, how can I do more? How can I, once you're into race culture, it's such a it's such a mental game that you play with yourself and what
Boy.
your personal goals are. And Iron Man, it's kind of like, well, I've peaked.
Yeah, oh yeah. I don't know how you can really do much more after you do the full Ironman
It's
treatment, which is something I will never accomplish because I did my one little sprint triathlon and thought, I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm like at the sprint Olympic distance, and for me, it just kind of keeps me going. But every time I'm in a pool and I just see someone like lapping me, I always see the tattoo on the back of the calf, and I'm like,
Right.
well, I'm never gonna compete. But you know what? In the community, I mean, triathlons, running community, it's so funny because when you identify something like that, you're like, oh, which Ironman did you do? And then you're talking for 30 minutes to this person about like, their experience and how they got into it. And like ours was through COVID, and we got bikes because there's nothing else to do, and everyone
Right.
has their own journey into how they got into it. My husband was, well, I was a runner in cross country, and so it's just it's a community that even if you're not from the same city, you go to Boston, and you just talk to all these people and you have this thing in common, and there's nothing quite like sports in that way that bonds you.
Oh, absolutely. Especially the running world and the triathlon
Yeah.
world extended into it. You can see someone wearing a jacket and
Yeah.
start an hour-long conversation based off what they're wearing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
kind of felt like an idiot, and I have no problem telling people when I'm a moron. Doing the Garmin Kansas City Marathon back in October, I'm running, and I hear this lady talk to the guy next to me. She's like, "Oh, I love your Iron Man tattoo." Yeah, my mind immediately went to comic books. Like Iron Man? Do you have like a Tony Stark tattoo? Like, you see, I'm a dork. I've got my Captain America right here on my wrist, and so yeah,
I love it.
more like me. I thought they were talking about the comic book. I'm like, oh no, he actually ran an Iron Man. This guy is way more badass than I am. Sadness.
It's a crazy community, but it's a very close-knit community. And I feel like every runner here in the Kansas City Metro knows each other. They're all
Mm,
very nice. We
yes,
work with the KC Smart Running group here in Kansas City, and we just kicked off a training series with them, and they all know each other for years, and they train together, run together. They do runs in the Parkville caves down at Park University together,
yeah.
all through Liberty. It's just a small world here. So.
Now, are you gonna have pacers at this race? Speaking of the Smart Run group.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
we always have pacers. More to come on that.
Okay.
We'll have pacers for all of our run groups, and all of our different mile set marks. So you can always count on that to kind of sort of help keep you paced. And if you're looking at hitting record goals, then you can always find that pacer. They're always super communicative, and
Yes.
our pacing is kind of smart in that we have, if for your overall goal, we have different mile times that are adjusted for our hills and our inclines. So mile 9 is a little bit slower than mile 2, for example. So we have those pacer bands that you can put on your arm if you want to keep track, but our pacers will also have them, and they'll keep you going throughout. So.
Perfect. Yeah, that is definitely crucially important. That I don't know. They're the people you either run with a pacer or you don't. Like, there's not really that much of an in between. And
Mhm.
I think a lot more people are actually starting to run with pacers. I've
Yeah.
noticed the pacer groups are getting a lot bigger these days, and so I think it's almost mandatory at this point. The races have pacers.
Yeah, absolutely. And one big thing that we'll have back, even for our 5K, we have pacers, and our high school cross country team here locally in Liberty does our pacing for that. So that's always
I'd hate to be the kid who's like almost elite level athlete who has to, pace the 40-minute group or something. They're just
right.
dying on the inside. I want to run.
Yeah.
Let me go. But
Yeah, when you're in high school, if you have a 20-minute, 5K, you're slow.
yeah,
And then
right.
you get old and you turn 30 and you're like, that is incredible. And I get it that time.
20
You're like,
minutes, you're
wow.
awesome. Yeah.
I'm done. Yeah. But these high school kids, a 40-minute pace is like walking for them. They're
Oh
like
yeah. Yeah. They're gonna hate it
built
if they're back
built
there.
differently at that age.
Yeah, that was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. I don't
Yeah.
even recall those days, nor was I even a
Mhm.
runner at that point. So I kind of missed my peak years.
Yeah, I was not, I was on the track team. So I
Ah,
was short distances. My husband was cross country. So for me, if I ran a mile, that was a lot.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I did the 4x8, and that was enough for me.
Yeah, well, I don't blame you on that one. So,
Yeah.
all right. So, is there anything else you want to share? Is there anyone you need to give some credit to, kudos to, or any more information, especially charity wise, and kind of what you guys do with your foundation? Please get it out there right now. Let's let everyone know what they're running for come March 23rd.
Absolutely. So huge kudos to Liberty Hospital. Even though we're our own separate 501c3, we office out of the hospital and we talk to everyone from their senior leadership to nursing leaders to their education department all day, pretty much every single day. And we get to hear the needs of employees and patients all the time. And one thing in working in marketing and events and now stepping into a healthcare focused lens that I have is they really truly are heroes. I know that the healthcare hero thing has kind of been talked about a lot since COVID, and one big shift in their culture that they're still seeing is a lot of burnout. Patients have higher, needs and expectations of healthcare as technology keeps growing, and our staff is still trying to keep up with that. Labor is at an all-time high at hospitals, and our nurses are more stressed than ever, just trying to still recover, and really, truly hats off to our senior leadership at Liberty Hospital. They're really prioritizing keeping that community hospital feel, prioritizing their employees first. And in this landscape, I think that is just such an incredible feat. It's really hard to do. And truly, when you go to Liberty Hospital, it feels like you're seeing family. Nurses here and physicians here care for their patients like they are their own family. Oftentimes, we will see people walking around the hospital as we do see walking around at Target. And so when you go to Liberty Hospital, you really see that kind of premier care that, makes us special and unique. And working for the foundation, we're kind of just the arm that gets to assist that and gets to see the magic of all of that happen every single day that, we're so incredibly grateful for. So, we have different programs that touch the birthing center, that touch under and uninsured patients, that touch employees who are maybe going through a crisis in their life. And it's such an incredible thing that we're able to have such a huge community event like the Liberty Half that helps fund those vital programs. So one thing that you might not know is that unlike some races where, a portion of the profits go to benefiting a charity of choice, we actually own this race. This is our brand for the foundation. So every single dollar of your registration goes straight back to our nonprofit. So it's not a portion. It's not 15%, 20%. Every single dollar raised goes directly back into nonprofit work. So your registration really means a lot. And so just a huge kudos to all of our essential healthcare workers out there that are the reason why we're here and the reason that we have this race every year. So hopefully that kind of sort of lights some passion and fire into getting registered for this race. When you're kind of sort of considering which races you like to support, just know that you're really making such a huge difference in a small community. So
that's awesome. Yeah, perfect. Love it. I'm always glad to do this race. I was at the very first one. I had to miss a year due to, this tiny little heart surgery I had, but other than that, I was able to make it back. So no, that's great. And yeah, anyone who hears this, if you're not already going out there to register, then I don't know what you're waiting for. You might as well just do it now and get yourself signed up and get up there. So awesome.
libertyhalf.org.
I'm sorry, dude, say that again. I talked over it.
libertyhalf.org.
There it is, libertyhalf.org. So everyone get out there and register so that we see you at the start line. Well, actually, we're going to see you inside the Maybe Center because we get to be in there before the race when it's cold outside. You can sit in a nice gymnasium, get stretched out. And you guys even have some coffee, I think, there. A little coffee, a little water.
Yep. Yeah,
Get
we have
people
coffee in the morning every single year. We're going to have food trucks. So I forgot to talk about that. That's new. We're going to have some food trucks. So extra food for everyone too. So yeah, you're going to be well taken care of this year.
You guys really do get bigger every year. With
We try.
the things that you offer. And I swear the number of runners who are there, I think you guys are getting bigger every year, which is great. Love seeing it because running on the whole has struggled coming back from the Rona, but I think you guys are the exception to that and are just growing every time. So, all right.
Absolutely.
Well, Julie, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We all appreciate it. Now, everyone go get registered. Do it now. Don't wait. Don't even think about it. Just go do it. And so I have really got to work on the transitions out of our interviews, but I want to thank Julie Gilmore for coming on again from the Liberty Half Marathon. Can't wait for March 23rd. Hopefully, you guys will all go and get registered. Again, that was our interview from a few days ago, but I'm so excited about the race. Now, since the interview, apparently Julie was the good luck charm that we all needed. As you all probably know by now, this is a podcast based out of Kansas City. Our Chiefs just made the Super Bowl, so happiness abounds in the world of Kansas City Chiefs football. So I am even foregoing wearing a running shirt to finish this episode by wearing red, and that is all because of the luck brought to us by the Liberty Half Marathon. So make sure that you go and you get registered so that we see you guys on March 23rd. After that, actually before that, just kind of skipping ahead a little bit, no, you know what? Actually, I'm skipping backwards a little bit. So we just had two races this weekend. The 2024 season has finally begun. We had the Battle of the Bean 5K that came on Saturday, and then we followed that up with the Groundhog Run on Sunday. We'll go into those races as we can. You know what? I don't think Julie's going to mind. We're going to do that now. So Battle of the Bean 5K, great little 5K in Kansas City, Missouri. Team Coffee versus Team Cocoa. Team Coffee, of course, won because that was the team I was on. Didn't actually run very well for this event. Apparently, having all this time off in between races was not actually great. So, super out of shape for this guy. I hope you guys are staying in better running condition than I am. So, we might as well move it up, to the next day, which was the Groundhog Run, where we decided to do the Tunnel to Tunnel Challenge, which was the 8 a.m. 5K, the 10 a.m. 10K. So, all in all, over the weekend, after not running for quite the while due to both illness and then weather conditions, we ran a combined half marathon. So that was super fun, and I'm absolutely feeling it now. But this is how we get the running season started, and I'm so glad that we're finally back into it. So make sure that you go out on our social media pages. You can see Medal Monday was the medals from this weekend, 3 of them in total. That was really cool. We've got Liberty coming up, also really cool. Next weekend, just one race, the Kickoff 5K, which is a football-themed race. Again, more exciting in this area because our Chiefs are back in the Super Bowl, but it's still a fun race. How can you not enjoy a football-themed race? And we continue on from there. So again, huge thank you to Liberty for coming on this week's episode. Talk to Julie after the episode. The Back of the Pack podcast will be back at the Liberty Half Expo. We will have a table there. I personally will be there from the open of the expo to the close of the expo. If you come to the expo to pick up your packet, and you kind of have to if you're running that race, if you do not come to my table and say hello to me, there is going to be unhappiness throughout the land of Kyle. So, everyone, come to the Back of the Pack podcast table at the Liberty Half Expo. Make sure you say hello to yours truly. We will have shirts that you could get, maybe a couple giveaways. We're going to have fun no matter what we do. So, make sure you're there. So that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Back of the Pack podcast. A huge thank you to our guests. We'll be back next week with a wrap-up of the Kickoff 5K, and we're going to have another special guest on next week. Back by popular demand, it is going to be Kyle and Cody recording an episode together. So stay tuned for whatever comes flying out of our mouths after we get done running the Kickoff 5K and record right there in person. So everyone have a great week of training here in this area and most of the Midwest. The weather is perfect. We've got the January thaw right now. Enjoy it while it lasts and get yourselves out there and get some miles. We will see you next week.